Hello dear students, this is Mr. Hitesh Patel, Assistant Professor, LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. In this video series, we will discuss a subject, Basic Mechanical Engineering. Today in this video session, we are going to discuss air compressors. Okay. In last video session, we have discussed the work done of the compressor with clearance and without clearance. Today in this video session, we are going to discuss various types of air compressor. So there are mainly two types of air compressor. First is rotary compressors. So rotary compressors. So rotary compressors may be classified into two groups. The first is rotodynamic compressor and second is positive displacement compressor. The rotodynamic compressor is classified into two categories, centrifugal compressor and axial flow compressor, because in this type of compressor, the compressor compresses the air with the help of dynamic action of the impeller. Next is positive displacement compressor. In this type of compressor, with the help of mechanical element, there is displacement of the air takes displacement of the in this type of compressor, the compression of the air takes place with the help of mechanical element or displacement of the mechanical element. So the positive displacement compressor, types of positive displacement compressor are Roots blower type air compressor, vent type air compressor and screw blower type air compressor. So let's discuss one by one. The first one is centrifugal compression. So the function of centrifugal compression is the same as centrifugal pump. Okay. So in centrifugal compression, the mechanical energy is converted into pressure energy by the action of centrifugal force. Here in this figure, you can see that in center, a impeller is provided. Okay. Impeller is mounted at the central shaft. The impeller is surrounded by the casing. Okay. The function of the casing is to maintain airtight contact, and casing is the outer body of the centrifugal air compressor. Here in this figure, diffuser is there, outlet valve is there, and the inlet is at the central line. Okay. So how this air compressor work? So when the impeller is rotated, at that time there is negative pressure is generated inside the centrifugal air compressor. Due to that, suction of air takes place inside the compressor, and that air will be compressed between the impeller and the casing, and with high pressure the air gets discharged with the help of centrifugal force. Okay. This type of centrifugal air compressors are rotated around 30,000 rpm. Okay. So this is the basic of centrifugal air compressor. So next is axial flow compressor. In axial flow compressor, the air enters inside the compressor axially to the central shaft. So this type of compressor is known as axial flow compressors. Okay. In this type of compressor, on the central shaft, number of moving blades are fitted, and over the casing inside portion, number of fixed blades are fitted. So when these moving blades are rotated, due to that negative pressure is generated inside the compressor, and due to that there is suction of air takes place. As there is suction of air takes place, the air comes in contact with the fixed blade. Fixed blade reduce the velocity of the air and increase the pressure of the air. Again it comes in contact with the moving blade. At that portion its pressure is gradually decreasing and velocity is increasing, and by this way we can get high pressure air. The RPM of axial flow compressors are around 10,000 to 30,000 RPM. Okay. Next is roots blower type air compressor. In this type of air compressor, two lobes are provided. Here in this figure you can see that the rotating thing, that is lobes. One is driving lobe and another is driven lobe. Both these lobes are fitted in a casing. From one side the air is entered, from another side air will be discharged. Okay. So here the profile of this lobes is cycloidal types or involute type. The air is drawn into the inlet pipe due to the rotation of the rotor. The volume of air is trapped between the one rotor and the casing for very short interval of the time. Okay. After then, the rotation of the rotors, the trapped air is carried out to the discharge side and the air is pushed to the receiver due to continuous rotation of the rotors. Okay. So this is the basic operation of roots blower type air compressor. Next is vent type air compressor. Okay. So the function of vent type air compressor is the same as vent type of pump. Here in this figure you can see that there is a central stationary casing is there and one is rotating rotor. In stationary casing, a rotor is mounted but eccentrically. Now the question is, what is eccentrically? So the center of casing and the rotating rotor will not the same. Okay. In rotating rotor, the number of grooves are provided and in that groove, number of sliding vents are fitted, so that when the rotor is rotated, the sliding vent comes out through like this and enter inside the grooves like this, according to the difference in area. Okay. So here in this figure you can see that there is a black lines that shows the sliding vents. When it comes to the downward direction, the sliding vents will enter inside the grooves completely. But when there is a space to comes out through the grooves, at that time, due to high RPM and due to centrifugal force, that sliding vents comes out through the rotor, and between the pockets or gap between two rotors, the air is trapped, and when that trapped air comes near the outlet port, at that time the air will be discharged to the receiver. So this is the basic arrangement of vent type air compressor. Okay. So this is all about the air compressors. In this video session, we have discussed total 4 compressors. First is centrifugal compressor, second is axial flow compressor, third is roots blower type air compressor, and fourth one is vent type air compressor. Okay. So what is the main difference between reciprocating air compressor and rotodynamic air compressor? So dear students, reciprocating air compressor is suitable for low discharge and at for very high pressure application, while rotodynamic compressor is suitable for high discharge and the area where we require very low pressure. Okay. The rotation speed is very low of the reciprocating air compressor, but the rotational speed or RPM of the rotodynamic compressors are high. The air discharge we will get in case of reciprocating compressor is not continuous, but in rotodynamic compressor we get continuous air discharge. Require complete lubrication system for the reciprocating air compressor, because in reciprocating air compressor the piston is reciprocated inside the cylinder, so at that portion we require lubrication. But in rotodynamic air compressor a simple lubrication system is required. Larger size than the rotary compressor for the same discharge, because in this type of compressor there is cylinder, piston, connecting rod, crankshaft, all this arrangement required so that it is in larger size than the rotodynamic air compressor, and rotodynamic air compressor are smaller in size for the as compared to reciprocating air compressor for the same discharge. In reciprocating air compressor there is requirement of the balancing, because the piston is reciprocating inside the cylinder. Due to that there is a problem of the vibration, so balancing is required in case of reciprocating air compressor, but there is no requirement of balancing for the rotodynamic air compressor. And the maintenance cost of reciprocating air compressor is more. Maintenance cost of rotodynamic air compressor is less as compared to reciprocating air compressor. So this is all about the air compressor. If you have any queries regarding the operation of the air compressor, classification of the air compressor, with clearance, work done with clearance, work done without clearance, okay, multi-staging of the air compressor, then feel free to write down your comment in the comment section. Okay, thank you for watching my video.